Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're covering the animated movie Capture the Flag.
Now when the world learns that the moon landing was faked, the space programmer launches the moon mission and enlists Mike Goldwing's father to be on the people, to be one of the people, not on the people, to be one of the people on the mission. But when a billionaire wants to use the moon's resources for his business,
the moon has resources?
race to stop him.
Wait, the moon has resources? Where's all the aliens?
You said it.
But before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification bell to on future podcasts and Motorpods videos.
Absolutely. We don't know if you're familiar with this movie. We found it at the dollar store.
Yes. And it actually was a very good movie. I mean, we know it wasn't a big blockbuster, but it was in theaters. I remember seeing a trailer for years ago, like the year it's supposed to come out, but never saw really advertised or anything, so it was more of a lesser known film coming out, especially for an English dub. I think part of what's interesting about this is that this is actually one of the few times we've seen is an original idea and concept. This was not based on an existing book, series, movie, drama. This was not a reboot. This was not a remake. This was not a revival of anything. It was actually an original story, an original movie.
Yes. It actually turned out to be interesting.
Yeah.
Animation was really good.
Yes, very. Especially when you see them on the moon. And it feels like while you're watching the movie, like whoever wrote it had to really love the space program. Either they had watched it or they had learned about it and are really passionate about space travel and NASA and the moon landing, because the entire movie is pretty much the celebration of the moon landing.
I'm going to guess they probably watched it. And I only say that because the hero of this movie is actually the grandparent.
Yes.
And the grandparent is the one who accidentally ends up making that trip to the moon with his grandson and the grandson's friend.
Yes.
So I'm going to guess they actually saw it. And the grandson and the grandfather actually got to do something together. And it had a lot of the, the tropes in it.
Yeah.
But it did have some differences. For example, both of the parents were still alive. And
Yes.
the grandparents.
Yeah, which was actually a big change. Even for 2015, that was a change, since we've seen so many movies take the same old route over and over again when it comes to their family members.
And the grandson and the friend, who's female, actually did not end up getting shipped until the end of the movie, the very end of the movie.
Right.
But you kind of thought it was coming.
Yeah.
Because of the so-called accidental kiss.
Yeah. So they just kind of wait to the end. I guess they want to make sure you focus on the story more, which I can understand. It's just like, oh, there's a female friend. Oh, that most likely means ship. Now, not so much, but I know when that came out, that's usually what it meant. And then, of course, you have the standard red-headed nerd friend, who at first back then when that was out, that was always like, always the geeky, not so popular friend who was always a misfit and stuff, until Troll Hunter. So now the red-headed best friend is now the cool one.
Yeah. So it had its own Toby.
Yes. And it had to have a little animal psychic that was a lizard that the boy owned, only he didn't want to be with him, wanted to be with the girl, so even the lizard had taste, so...
That reminded me of the one on Tangled.
Oh, yes, little Pascal, yes.
So, all in all, this was a fun movie without telling you too much of what happens. It does end up having a happy ending. We thought it wasn't going to, and we were, really going to be pissed if it ended up the way that it was driving you to believe.
Yes.
We were not going to be happy about it, but alas, it didn't, and there was a happy ending.
Yes. And of course, they had to establish a villain in here, who's, again, another kind of caricature. He's eccentric, evil Texas billionaire for some reason, and his whole motivation for this, if he just wanted the glory for himself, you bought that. But then it turned into later he wants to take the natural resources from the moon that doesn't really have any natural resources. There's no water, there's no oxygen.
The Texas billionaire didn't get an education.
No, ironically, and he wanted to use it for himself, and it was like, what? So
I think he would have researched this before going.
But clearly, they wanted to make sure he was
he had the resources to become educated about the moon.
Yeah. It seemed like this guy was just, I guess, purposely not that smart,
right.
so I guess for comedic purposes, but they do make sure he is deadly, so it's like, why does this guy have to be so over the top? I mean, I get sometimes it can work if you really want to go for a cartoony effect, but it seems like up until you get to this villain, the movie kind of takes itself pretty seriously. You have its fun times, but it's really grounded in reality. It sort of has proposed this what if scenario, and it's really someone who would get to experience going to the moon or redoing the moon lander or something. He's like, this was someone's dream, and it comes through. Then you get to this guy, and he's just the most cartoony villain ever. He wants to kill anyone that gets in his way. He's got evil robots. He's got super serum. He's got fancy fireworks show. And it's like, are you sure you're in the right movie, man?
So, we recommend you seeing it if you find it at a dollar store like we did, or if it's free to watch on a streaming service. Go ahead and take the time to watch it. It is worth the watch. It's fun. We would probably give it a B.
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, and like I said, great animation. We love that it was an original concept, not based on anything. There was really passion put into this, and with the family values and everything, that they really loved the space program and NASA and the moon landing. They really loved all of it, and it really comes through it here. And while this is not well known, I think that, it deserves to be like one of those underrated classics. It has a few bumps here and there, but I would consider it to be an underrated classic.
Definitely. So if you've seen Capture the Flag, let us know what you think in the comments. And if you haven't, try your local dollar store, try seeing if it's on YouTube possibly, and then come back and let us know what you think as well.
Right. And be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to updates and future podcasts and World of Paws videos.
Yes, and more dollar store pockets.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.